All right, good evening, everyone. 10 Tampa Bay Chief Meteorologist Bobby Deskins with Chief Meteorologist Lou Turner. We're talking more rain, Lewis.
More rain. We're in the middle of it right now. I mean, we got tropical moisture here now. I mean, we talk about impacts from the tropics. Listen, we're watching it, but I know there's more to get into. We've got 4th of July weekend. Bobby, I know you're going to have $10,000 worth of Roman candles just shooting off in the neighborhood.
No, I've seen, you know what?
That's you?
No, well, I like to get the ones that just shoot one up. That's actually kind of cool. I can't believe you can do that on your own. But I've seen too many videos this year of the ones that shoot everything up and they turn sideways and they go all across the neighborhood. Like, nah, I don't want to do that one.
Not the thing, absolutely.
Yeah.
Couldn't agree more. Again, I like to watch as a novice. But so very important weekend. Obviously, we got Independence Day weekend, folks planning for that. But as you said, rain. So I know folks are curious about what the Hurricane Center is looking at and what we're thinking as well.
Yeah, so let's start with our weather impact alert. So I'm in Tampa here. We have one through Friday. And that's going to cover the heavier downpours, really. We're getting on and off showers. Sun even comes out in between, right? And then we get another line of showers to come through at times. So not everybody's getting rain all the time. But the rain between tonight, tomorrow, and Friday could be a little bit on the heavier side. Although Friday's starting to dry up, and I think you guys do not have a weather impact alert for Friday. Am I correct?
I wonder if you're jealous.
Yes, I am.
We do not. We dropped it. So I actually made the decision today. Think about weather impact alert, and you got to be transparent about it. You got to, when things change.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's the beauty of the science of meteorology. Things can and will change, and you adjust and you plan for that. Earlier in the week, as we were looking at Friday, we were taking into mind potential for tropics to potential for development in that area. So of course, we wanted people front of mind, have backup plans for 4th of July, but things are looking a little bit better for our Friday. Now, as we adjust and think about things, we're looking at Saturday, Sunday. So we're
right.
thinking there may be rounds of rain, as you're just mentioning, same what we're going to see Thursday, but these rounds of rain in the morning for Jacksonville. Of course, that's where we're on this end of the stream. I'm forecasting and looking at really northeast Florida, southeast Georgia. And so when you talk about getting morning rounds of rain with the afternoon, now that's starting to impact people wanting to get out on the beach Saturday. Yep. and do their thing. So we're contemplating that now as well.
Yeah, and a lot of it's going to actually hinge on what happens in the tropics, right? What kind of low tries to develop, if anything, out there. It's kind of looking like it may be east of Jacksonville, out there in the Atlantic, southeast of South Carolina. You can see the radar that's happening now. That's kind of the threat that's now through, say, Thursday for both Jacksonville and for the Tampa area, and even into South Florida as well. Most of the peninsula all the way down is looking at least the chance for some heavy rain. Now, it's not raining everywhere all the time, and it won't. But the amount of moisture in the atmosphere right now is really on the heavy side, and that can mean anytime you get a thunderstorm or even a downpour over top of you, it could be on the heavier side. This is a look from the Hurricane Center today. They kind of started stretching this thing out here to the north and the east yesterday. They've increased the chance for development up to about 40%, right? And they've actually raised this a little bit, almost up to Hatteras. So what that means is that there's less of a chance that we get something to try and develop near the Tampa coast, and a little bit more getting it off the Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina coastline Saturday, Sunday, Monday. And so what we're doing first is we're just dealing with all of this rain, and that'll be today, tonight, and tomorrow. And then, well, you guys are going to get some dry air in, and just in time for the 4th of July.
Yep, and that's the encouraging news there. But now I kind of transition my thoughts over the weekend kind of to our winds. I'm looking at our wind modeling and thinking about the potential for development. Our in-house model, I know we're using the exact same software when it comes to our modeling, kind of zeroing in on that low. At times I saw it developing off of Volusia County and then kind of boogieing right on up. So potential for some, what I would call just a nice breezy day out on Jacksonville beaches, getting those winds coming out of the northeast. I mean, I'm seeing gusts 25 to maybe even 30 possible as we get into our weekend.
So, yes, Thursday, it's almost offshore, Lou. And then as we get into Friday, we start to see that low. Oh, very weak. It's tough to say, man. When you're talking tropics in Florida, people get a little sensitive, right? it's a very weak low
sure.
pressure system developing. And because of that, if that can develop out there, you're going to get winds over here going in this direction. But what Lou was just talking about is you're going to get a little bit of a breeze coming back down in this direction by Friday afternoon. All right, now most of the highest winds stay offshore. You can see this yellow up here. Anything in that yellow is basically getting up with 20 to 25 knots, okay? But watch what happens. This is this is Friday at about 4 o'clock. Let's go out through Saturday at about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and there it is. You can see it's almost a little bit better organized, although really it's a really broad area of low pressure, right? But it's this area right in here that we're thinking is the main area of low pressure. And this, Lou, that's what you're referring to, especially that Georgia coastline for Friday night and Saturday. That's middle of the day, Saturday afternoon.
Exactly. So what we'll do in Northeast Florida and in our Southeast Georgia, kind of the barrier islands there, a lot of marshland, and that will be fed tidally, of course. And so I'll watch Saturday, the high tide cycles for our area. Saturday afternoon, we're going to get at least Jacksonville, so you can kind of interpolate a couple hours difference, whether you're looking at us from Brunswick or a little bit earlier in St. Augustine, but about 5 to 6 p.m. So that's when we'll see our high tides, and that's when we could see some pretty strong gusty winds, but not to that tropical storm force level. And that would be maybe something if you get up to 35 or 40 mile an hour gusts, something that the Carolina coast could see if you get up north of the Savannah River, get towards Hilton Head, Beaufort, Charleston. They'll be watching out for some a pretty good gusty Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah, and thank goodness it's a longer weekend, right? It obviously goes into Sunday, but look at the difference from Saturday with a really good northeasterly wind there along the coast to Sunday afternoon. And even by Sunday morning, you get rid of that northeasterly wind and you've got all this southwest wind going from the southwest off to the north and the east. And that's fine, right? So that would make conditions a whole lot nicer along your coast. This will be the second day in a row we've done this, and the second day in a row I like to go inside the business. But we'll take it ITB. The question that managers will come to us with as chief meteorologists at our stations is where do we put crews? Where do our reporters need to be to tell the best weather story? And generally, it's the Cantori effect where you see the reporter show up, the folks are like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? That's why I keep getting the question about Southeast Georgia for flooding potential. And what you just showed about Sunday gives me a little better encouragement. When we get like a 3-4 day nor'easter, where you've got the fetch for at least 72 hours of steady northeast wind. That's when I get concerned about St. Johns River tributaries and then the marshes of Georgia filling up and having exceptionally high tides. Yeah, even downtown St. Augustine.
Correct. Oh, well, and that's a bowl. St. Augustine's one of those things, and San Marco, downtown Jacksonville. It's, we've had stronger storms, I think, than what we'll see here just earlier in this week where, and I know you get the same sort of thing when you get street flooding, people drive through at about 40 miles an hour and then they throw wake behind cars into businesses and homes. And so we've seen that already a couple of times earlier this week. You're 100% correct on that. St. Augustine all the way up through Brunswick, we gotta concern ourselves with that flooding. But again, with it just being kind of a one-day thing, and then Sunday the winds shift again, I'd be more encouraged about the marshes kind of flushing themselves out.
Yeah, and one of the things we look at, and I'm going to back this up to Saturday, when we're looking at how much water is getting pushed around, this goes for just winds out of the northeast, as he said, for a couple days, or if it's a tropical system. We look at the amount of wind, like how high is the wind, so say 25, 30 knots or so. How long is it blowing, like time, 12 hours, 24 hours, and how large of a fetch, which means the area of the water surface that it is blowing over. The more you get of each of those, the more water you can push back. And in this particular case, we think Saturday's the breezy day. Sunday, thank goodness, it looks like the winds will die. Now, this will change just a little bit. This is not set in stone by any means, but right now, that's kind of where we're at. In fact, let me back up here. I want to show you the two models now, or at least show the European and the GFS model, because this will give you an idea of what might happen, but also the uncertainty, right? Because up until really late yesterday into this morning, the models haven't agreed with each other a whole lot. This is July 3rd. This is tomorrow. And we're watching for a low pressure. There he goes. You see that yellow area? This right in here, that's a broad area of low pressure on the European model for Friday afternoon around lunchtime, okay? Now where does that go? And you can see here it is. Now it's kind of consolidating maybe, but this is what we were just showing you, right? This is Saturday, and that's why some of those winds are wrapping around coming down that way. Now watch by Sunday, it drifts up on land, maybe, right? Weak, very weak, but up into South Carolina, and then into Sunday and Monday, it's up into North Carolina falling apart. Now, what does the GFS show? And does it look similar? And yes, it kind of does. If I back this up a little bit, look where that, right there, look where it's got the low. See that? Right in there. That's just off the coast of Jacksonville. And then what does it do with it? It takes it up towards the north and the northeast. There it is off of Wilmington, off of Myrtle Beach, and then continues to drift further to the north. So finally, Lou, we get a little agreement here.
Love seeing agreement, and honestly, as we get kind of closer to our weekend, would be even more excited to see actual low develop, because the sooner we get that, then what you'll notice is how precise and how much better computer modeling is going to get. So really looking forward to getting that Friday, Saturday, and then we can watch this thing boogie on off to the Carolinas. Kind of bringing it back home a little more, Bobby, I'm curious, my Tampa experience, it's been a couple years since I've visited. I've never been there for a 4th of July. So, I know you're going to kind of forecast for Friday as well on a personal level. We've talked about Jacksonville's 4th. What's the big kind of fireworks show for Tampa in the surrounding area? I'm sure there are dozens, right? But where does everybody congregate and watch?
Yeah, the biggest one is Boom by the Bay, which is the one that Tampa puts on. But you could almost say the same thing for Sarasota and St. Pete. They're very large cities, really, that are putting those on. And
sure,
they just happen to be, Tampa, St. Pete, and Sarasota, pretty close to each other. So when you're looking at forecast models and where the storms are going to be, it gets a little bit interesting. Here's the forecast model now. This is for Thursday, middle of the day, scattered showers coming through. I'll zoom in a little bit here. Scattered showers coming through, and you can see that it's basically moving off towards the west. So we will continue to push this towards the east. Now let's go out through Friday morning, okay? This is early in the morning right here before the sun comes up. Now, look how dry it is up in Jacksonville. Great news, 8 o'clock Friday morning. Yeah. Just a few showers trying to come through in that northeast breeze. By the afternoon in Tampa, we're starting to see some pop-up showers, most of it south of there. Lou, I think we've got a little hole in there for some of these showers and storms. Thanks, guys, for joining us.